Good evening. It's the Southern Railways Memphis Division, 1975-ish, and it's January 22nd. We've had some snow here and gotten to spend a little bit of time in the layout room, so I've cleaned up some things and got some stuff to show you guys. And some extended future planning, I guess we'll say. So, the layout still, the top of it still looks pretty much the same. Again, from the last update, we put the hard deck on the second level for staging. We're kind of, really starting to solidify some plans for that. I got this, the approach deck over here is cleaned up. Did a little cleaning down there. There's the cases, all the excess cars that aren't on the layout. And we're really starting to look at our plans for the Helix. Now, this is a 52-inch square. Originally it was like 48 inches, but then I was like, it needs to be a little bit bigger. Plus, the original design was for 3 tracks. Now it's only going to be 2. So it's going to be a, 25-inch outer track and a 23.5-inch inner radius Helix. But one of the tracks, again, because we're going to have, the idea of expansion and what's going on. So there'll be a track at the very back that'll go out and it'll run around the very outside and stay at level, at the deck level. And we'll end up over here. So this is a new piece of bench work over here. There was a piece there eons ago. I think it became this, but don't quote me on that. That's an all-new piece of bench work, 2 inches of foam on it, and so I've just used masking tape to kind of lay down, because over there I've drawn on it so much, kind of show where the track will go. So it'll start at the very back, coming out from behind the whatever Helix level is here, swing through, it'll cross 6th Street again, which, think about it, this is the 6th Street crossing here. No, I think it's either 2nd or 6th, but so it'll cross there, swing around, and this is just kind of grass and prairie. It'll cross the runway 30 approach lights for the airport at Muscle Shoals, so there'll be a little bit of visual here with runway off in the distance and on the backdrop there. But there's a paved cross, or gravel paved crossing here, and then you got the approach lights. So we'll be able to get a little of effect of the little approach lights going here. I think that'll be kind of cool. The crossing across the doorway will be just a narrow drop-in shelf. It might have just 2 inches on either side, maybe. So it'd probably be 5 inches wide to drop in across there, just to run across. Makes the circle, the corner here, swings out. And then the first thing we run into, we'll have a turnout, branches off, and there'll be a 2 tracks basically, and a third on each side. So this one here is the through track, not of the main, but just of the siding. And this goes up to a chemical facility that will have 2 long tank car loading tracks here. Since this is the window that goes outside. So do I use that extra depth? I probably will, with some temporary structures, stuff that can be moved in case we literally need to crawl out this window for some horrible reason. I'll have a way to just punch the entire thing out. So it'll have pellet, unloading for covered hoppers here, and then tanks, and then tank car unloading apparatus, and then down here will basically be tank car storage for stuff being moved in and out of the plant. So this will be a setup, and it's actually represented fairly well on of what actually exists. I'll show you this as soon as I get this logged in here. Don't want anybody to see. So this is a overhead of 1970. So you can see there's the airport. So here's the rail line coming here. Sheffield Yard is right down here. This just is a spur off, off the end of Sheffield Yard. There's the approach lights. Across that, and then it'll cross that street. And then this massive facility here is Reynolds Aluminum. And then right here, it branches off. And again, it's a little soon, but again, given the width of the bench work, that's what we got to play with. And then there's this big chemical plant here. You can see that's all tank car loading, all kinds of tank cars and stuff sitting there. It's a big plant, but that'll be what this facility is here. We go back this way, and then around the corner here. So track around here, following the tape, and then back there in the corner will be this plant right here. It's the Ford Sheffield Aluminum Casting Plant, SACP Aluminum Casting Plant. It's Ford's southernmost manufacturing production plant. That's at the time built in the 58. They ceased work there in 1983. It was demolished in 2009, but it had a single spur running inside for shipping. But it received on this road right here, it would receive molten aluminum from the massive Reynolds Aluminum Complex here. It would receive by the truckloads of molten aluminum, and it would make pistons and all kinds of parts for Ford assemblies, Ford cars and motors and transmissions. And then you see the massive Reynolds Aluminum plant here in Sheffield. So on this picture, it's hard to see, but the railroad kicks off the spur here, dips in right here. There's unloading of either alumina, or bauxite right here. That's all these path tramways and stuff are for moving the alumina or bauxite. When the plant was being used during World War II, it had its own bauxite hill. So they were obviously shipping bauxite in hoppers, but I don't think in the 70s that they were still doing that. Bauxite mining had really fallen off. So I think they were shipping in a pre-processed, I think it's called aluma powder, which they then smelted into actual aluminum in the 70s. I've got a picture of some hoppers being unloaded there, and I think that's what's in them. So the rails continued down this way and then merge back in this line here. So then this line also comes down here on this angle and then kicks back here. And you see all those rail cars back there. I believe that was outbound shipping of ingots, rolled steel, kind of stuff. And then the various lines dip into the plant back in here. But again, massive facility. And so that's going to be represented on the layout. So the spur line comes down this way. And again, just because I've got space, I'm just going to run an angle out that way and just put that's the Ford plant, because again, it's just one track going in for shipping. And it's just box cars in and out. Empty box cars in, loaded box cars with aluminum parts going to Ford assembly stuff out. Gonna turn out here on the curve, come swing out. It'll split about right here into multiple tracks. Goes here, the covered unloading shed here. They have their own shift switcher. That's the engine house for it. It sits right there, and that's where it's at. A couple of tanks, big tanks here. I'll show you I'll try to pull up that picture I've got, and then I'll angle some buildings here that are meant to be these buildings here. The tail ends of those there, and just to again, that's there'd probably be 4 of them, maybe 3 or 4 sitting in this area here. So there'll be 3 tracks coming with that 4th spur going to the engine house off the back of it. And again, given space constraints, once we lay this out, it may just be 2 unloading tracks here, but that's what, and it'll pull in here, come back this way, and then merge back in the line here. So the main spur will be back here, be it with a couple of, multiple tracks here. So 1, 2, 3, with the main spur with a couple of sidings for, again, since they have their own switcher, they'll be able to pull stuff in and out. So the switcher from Sheffield Yard would drop cars on those sidings there, and then somebody would run the switcher from here to switch cars between the siding and multiple places here. Again, based on if you saw the picture, this track here would come down and ultimately curve this way, but again, we can't do that. So I'm going to put a building here, big, kind of same style, as these, but just kind of a warehouse type building. I'll have an overhead pathway here. There'll be 2 tracks here alongside that are loading tracks. So this is basically outbound aluminum, whether it's in box cars, open flat cars, sheet and stuff. Coils will go out from a track that'll go into the building. And so gondolas will go in, box cars here for ingot loading and stuff like that. Depending on the type of metal and everything else, it ran in either in open cars or in closed cars. So that's outbound shipping will be set up with this building here. And yeah, it won't be aligned like these are at an angle. At least I haven't drawn it that way. If I can weasel it to make it look better, I will, just because it'll bother me being offset, but that's just me and my OCD. So then back to our computer here. Let's see, open this thing back up. Now, you'll see there's another facility here that's part of it. It's something, I don't think it's the same company. I don't think that's Reynolds. I think that's another company doing something. It may be a subsidiary, but you can see a path running down here. So it may be part of Reynolds somehow, but it's not going to be modeled. So, but one thing that will be modeled is the track continues down here, crosses this, and then flips out. And there's another facility down here, which had a bunch of tracks curved into it. And then it tails into the Tennessee River, Wilson Lake above Wilson Dam. So that's going to be represented down here. So the track, the main spur comes in, a short stretch of, just some fields and stuff. That road that you'll see cross there, and then it'll swing out, and 3 tracks go into a building, and that'll be, sits inside this curve here, and that just tails into the backdrop. I actually don't know what this building is. I've looked it up and looked it up and looked it up, and I mean, it's been raised. I think it's totally gone today. I mean, it was there years, when I was a kid. But again, this is not a place that I was out rail fanning as a kid. But it does track with the history of the shoals, and there's Wilson Dam, which is the reason that all this stuff is there, is because of the cheap hydroelectric power provided by the dam. There's TVA, which, again, I mean, a massive facility, nitrate plant, making fertilizer after World War I. But again, you can see all the railroad spurs, and then up here, it's just, all those are tank cars. Tank cars, tank cars, tank cars, tank cars. As a kid, that was something I saw all the time. We would drive down this road over here, headed out to the dam, driving out here to go see the dam, up to the dam, and all along that road there was a spur. The railroad track ran down and around, and down that one they stored tank cars on, and just big silver TVA, 8,000 gallon, 9,000 gallons. So these tank cars basically just stored down that road. Of course, this is in the 80s when the facility was really winding itself down, but that's what the interchange in Sheffield will be doing. Is because, again, this is another area that, boy, it'd be nice to model, but again, you could literally, that's an entire layout just in and of itself. Tracks come down this way, can follow this down here, merge in with the L&N coming across. Here's that L&N crossed the river from Florence here on a lift. There was a lift section right there on a long bridge, and then came down and came into Sheffield this way. And that's where this comes in from back there. That's the L&N coming in, and the spur out to TVA's nitrate plant there. So this will be a fairly busy interchange with L&N, with plus the TVA work train, dropping off and picking up tank cars and stuff of fertilizer there. So definitely, tons and tons of operational possibility, and again, it'll be one of those where, you could run the upper level, throw a train on, just let it run up here, and then operate the lower level, by yourself. Or again, if the crew's, when it's all finished, said and done, the crew's big enough, you could run 2 people just running the lower deck here. One could run, the local out, and the other one could run the shifter here at Reynolds Aluminum. I mean, it definitely would keep somebody busy for quite a while, moving cars around there. So definitely some some interest here, and again, just making sure I keep up with what I want to do on that lower deck. I'd kind of scrap the plans for anything down there when it was a 3-deck layout, just because it was just going to be too much. Considering I was trying to, was going to have the scenic, this entire area as well. But then, I think I've said this before, it's just like, hey, wait a minute, I still have the bench work, I still have all stuff, why not use it for something? And one of the thoughts was run the TVA nitrate plant down here. I'm like, all right, yeah, I could do that. Or, like I said, this spur coming off the east end of Sheffield Yard, and run the Reynolds plant. So ambitious, absolutely. Lots of totally scratch-built structure over here in the aluminum plant, but I do have some pictures that I found on the net. Let's see. Nope, they're not going to be in this grouping right here, but I'll dig one of those up and show you guys at a later point. So definitely gives you and again, with this being out here, I still keep thinking I need a leg out here somewhere, but again, with this yard being here, it's like, whoa, to put a leg, I could probably put one here, or figure out a way to get this, because I just feel like this just needs a little support with as much sitting out here like this. And again, so if I did bring this out to here, do I match this to it? I don't think so, because of aisle width. This is bad enough with being at shoulder height. If I brought this out, it really would create a choke point here. As it is, it doesn't feel that bad. So I think I'm just going to leave that like it is. I'll probably bring bend the valence out a little bit to encompass the extension here for Tuscumbia. But I'll probably go ahead and again, as I'm sitting here thinking about this, leave this at that width. Because again, it's plenty of space to do it, or what's on the plans here. I mean, this yard will hold, 7 tankers on the shortest. This is basically a runaround. 7 tankers there, 8 on this one, plus hopper, covered hoppers in there somewhere. So a couple covered hoppers here. And then the back line will hold 6. And this one will hold, 5 or 6. Again, it just depends on how far you carry it that way. But if it stops right there at the window, you see there's 2, and there's definitely room for 3 or 4 more there. Now suddenly tank cars become a priority, because I think at this point that's most of the tank cars I have are sitting right here. I've got a few more, but not many. But I do, and again, in thinking about this, I went ahead and ordered some more. Atlas has got more of their 17,000 gallon and 23,000 gallon tankers, so more of those and more of those. So I think I got 4 or 5 more tank cars coming, mostly in some sort of black scheme, which will fit in nicely. But again, I definitely need another 5 or 6 on top of that, to keep this this area running and whatnot. But not horrible problems to have. I should go acquire some more stuff. Not a big deal. So that's what been going on here with the Memphis division. Definitely get this helix going. All the lower deck trackage, I think I've said this will be code 80, whether it's Pico or Atlas. Got a ton of it still. I would love to get the helix built, but before I can build the helix, I got to get that line on the back side over there around to coming out here. So that was the impetus to go ahead and build this piece of benchwork. And knowing that I'm going to do that, let's go ahead and lay that all the way around the back edge line, so that as I built the helix, I accounted for making sure that line had its clearance and stuff over there up against the wall. And I could drop the level, so it could actually go down a little bit, starting right there. The pipe, as it would duck under where it would go under right there. And this could be shaved down right here. So that could, it could change. It could definitely, but I gotta do that before I can put the helix deck in. First turn of the helix deck, because it'll be coming up. It'll start here. So I'm still thinking in my head that I may start the grade back in here. Swing this across this way. Again, so this is, the turn here is not that bad. And that would allow that one line to, skinny and drop down. And that way, with that first deck sitting up, somewhere in there, give me the space I need to squeeze that one line and come around here for this Reynolds spur. I don't even know what the railroaders called it coming out of Sheffield Yard, but I think since I literally just called it the Reynolds spur, given that, and that's the main plant, the biggest thing going on back there, I think probably still continue to call it the Reynolds spur, and we'll keep going with that. So this is the Southern Railway, the Memphis Division, 1975-ish, signing off. Thanks for watching.